Alright, it's finally cooled down enough in the UK for me to turn off my air conditioner for a little bit and record a video. The past couple of days have been awful. If it wasn't for my air conditioner that I bought last year, I would have melted away. But anyway, today I'm here to talk about a challenge that has been set by Penguin0 Moist that I think is pretty much impossible. Let me read this out real quick. Twitch streamer Moist has issued a $20,000 challenge to beat Halo 2 on Legendary difficulty with every skull modifier applied without a single death. 20,000 is a lot, but considering whoever completes this challenge is probably going to have 20 years taken off their lifespan, I don't know if it's worth it. And he probably could have comfortably put up his entire net worth on this challenge, knowing that nobody's ever going to complete this. And I've got some experience on my second channel. I know some people sent me those old videos where I did a series called Halo 2 Legendary No Deaths. Yeah, what? Yeah, just stay there. Why not? Everything is fine. What are you doing, you f— The people sending me that don't understand though. This is different, and here's why. First of all, I just did regular Legendary difficulty. He's asking for Legendary with every skull on except Envy. Skulls make the game exponentially more difficult, and if you're wondering how a Halo 2 Legendary can be even more difficult, this is how. Anger. Enemies fire their weapons faster and more frequently. All enemies in the game are permanently cloaked. Your shields only recharge when you melee enemies. Bash your way to better health. Auto aim is disabled for every weapon. Heads up display and weapon do not display on screen. Weapons dropped by AI have half the ammo they normally would. The motion tracker is disabled. Players can only enter ground vehicles by boarding enemies that are in them. You're going to be going through with no auto aim, no weapon displaying on screen. Every enemy is cloaked. Enemies are just ramped up in general, whether it be them firing faster. You have to bash enemies to get your shields back. It's ridiculous. So that's one of the differences. I just did the regular Legendary difficulty mode, which is hard in its own right. Where are you? That motherfucker was waiting for me. Did you see that? No, we need to get a slow motion replay on that. Any Halo fan will tell you that Halo 2's Legendary difficulty is by far the worst one. It's by far the most unfair Legendary in the entire series. So when I did that series, it was about 2 years ago now, and again, I got to the mission Regret. I got to the mission Regret before I gave up, because I made it there multiple times. I made it through the level. The level was quite difficult, but I did find a strategy. Can't remember what it was, but I found a strategy to get past each part. But I gave up at the end, because while I was fighting the Prophet of Regret and hiding from him in between, you know, hopping on and hitting him, I got sliced up by the honor gods every single time. F off you. Oh, f you. Good night. Third day attempting this mission. I was so mad because I'd made it through this whole level. It was a very long level, and if you're going through it on Legendary without dying, you've got to take it very slowly, and just to die at the very end, I gave up at that point. Now, another difference that I think he's talking about with this challenge is that he wants you to do a whole playthrough from beginning to end without dying. Continuously. The thing with me is I did it mission by mission, so I could have 50 attempts on a level if I wanted to. If I kept dying at some point through the mission, I would just restart it until I got the attempt where I went through the whole mission without dying once. You can't really do that in a full game like playthrough, because you did mention that you wanted you to stream it so that you could prove that you're not splicing footage or anything. So that would mean that you're going from the beginning to the end of the game without dying on Legendary all skulls on one attempt. For the entire game. I had to have multiple attempts just to beat regular Legendary before I got the run where I did it without dying. So this is just impossible to me. I think this would be one of the greatest achievements in gaming history if anyone did this. I think it'd be up there with the guy that went through all of the Soulsborne games without getting hit once. It's that much of an accomplishment if you can get through this. Now I want to show you something. This is the mission Gravemind. It's one of the hardest missions in the entire game. So let's see what happens at the beginning of this mission after the cutscene finishes playing. Let's skip this.
Brutes!
I died within about a quarter of a second because you have to be perfect. You have to, the strategy is to move behind this thing, and even then you can, it's very easy to just get insta-killed. This is on Legendary with none of the skulls applied, so the enemies aren't firing more, they're not invisible, none of that. There's strategies, don't get me wrong, there's strategies to despawn enemies and shit like that. I'm not sure if that counts. In fact, I think it's the only way that you could possibly beat this on Lasso, by despawning enemies and shit. I don't think anyone could actually give a complete playthrough. I would expect people to use glitches, basically. if they're going to do this challenge. And even with glitches, I think it would still be one of the greatest accomplishments in gaming. If we're talking about a proper playthrough where you're hiding from enemies or blasting your way through them all, you're not performing glitches, ridiculous. That's just one of the many instances, one of the thousands of instances in this whole game where you can get killed instantly. We're not even talking about sniper jackals here. They were the cause of most of my deaths in my legendary playthroughs because they insta-kill you. You know, they are snipers that are on the other side of the map, they're hard to see, and they have the best vision in the entire world. If they even just see the tip of your fucking helmet, they will shoot you, hit you 100% of the time accurately, and you'll instantly die. Distract the jackal, that is your main objective. Go on buddy, you'll do fine! I genuinely feel sorry for anyone that even attempts this challenge. As much as I love this series, there's only one Halo game that I've ever beat on Legendary with every skull on, and that's Halo 1. This was incredibly difficult, but it doesn't even compare to what Cr1TiKaL is asking for. Halo Combat Evolved is much more fair with its legendary difficulty. Adding all the skulls, of course, is going to make it more unfair. That's the whole entire point of them. But I also did it with hundreds of deaths. Cr1TiKaL is asking for a no-death run, so what I did does not even compare to that. The only reason I did that is because I know Combat Evolved inside out. It's my favorite game. Played it since I was 4 years old. I had nothing else to do in it. That was the only thing that was like, okay, I've never done this before. Let's do it. I love Halo 2 and 3, but not enough to put myself through Lasso. Especially because, again, Halo 2's Legendary is bullshit. But that's all I have to say. I think it's an impossible challenge. I don't think Cr1TiKaL needs to worry about losing 20k. And even though I don't think anyone will do this, if someone does complete it, you have genuinely completed the most difficult gaming challenge of all time. Well, I guess you could make it a harder challenge, like go through every game on Lasso without dying a single time in a single playthrough. But as far as accomplished gaming challenges go, I think that would be up there at the top. That being said, let me know what you think down below about this challenge. Any Halo fan out there, definitely subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you all in my next video.